Hello, hello, hello. This is Big Chonis. Thank you guys for joining me today on this live impromptu show. Bitcoin over 17.5. Unbelievable. What can I say? Congratulations, bulls. You did it. I wanted to start with this Bitcoin logarithmic regression chart going all the way back. And you can see there's 4 phases of this chart. There's your below phase, call this the basement. You get your first floor, you get your second floor, and we'll just call this one the penthouse, okay? And you can see over the years here, we have this disbursement of price action through all, 4. We have a disbursement in the basement, the first floor, the second floor, and the third floor. Now, a couple things that have remained constant is we have fallen through the basement a couple times. We've gotten into our second floor here, found it as support, and got to our penthouse. Second floor found it as support, got to our penthouse. Second floor did not find it as support. Actually, it was very strong resistance. Went back to the first floor, and then obviously went back to our basement here. Now, the reason I wanted to start with this chart is because, as you can see, we're still in the first floor here. As you can see, this is very correlative with what happened here in 2016 when we were ranging in our first floor for, most of March of 2015 to May of 2017. So basically 2 years there, ranging in our first floor there, until we were able to expedite that to our second floor. And of course, the back test of our first floor proved solid, and the acceleration did continue here. Now, exiting our first floor currently would literally put Bitcoin right back at all-time highs, literally right there. And that is interesting because that is kind of the target, if you could argue that, because we are at the mid 16Ks, and because we have limited price action above really 17.1, it's probable and probable. It's definitely possible that we are, beginning this epic climb out of here. And we kind of have a pathway that shows us what we would have to expect if we are to break out of our first floor and get into our second floor. And of course, our second floor, this is where we're basically breaking through, and we're in blue sky breakout territory above 20K and testing the limits of our second floor, which in theory could take us all the way up to $40,000. And I say this now as if we were going to do this now. We're obviously, at least let's just say obviously, but we're not going to do this now. And it took a lot of time here once we were able to blast through. It took better half of 6 months to get through our second floor and into our penthouse here. So I'm not expecting this obviously anytime soon, but what gives us a parallel to sense, wow, all this bullish action recently, how do we keep that in the overall context of Bitcoin's history? Now, as you can see, if we use these as possible targets, we are obviously very, very early in this overall graph. I did want to go to, let's take a look at some lower term time frames here. Let's hide that for a moment. Come on. Computer's being slow today. Let's go to the 1 hour. So once again, we had another dip buying opportunity here this morning, where we were basically hitting at 16.8, got as low as 16.6. There was the support there, and now boom, there's the acceleration above. Now, from an hourly standpoint here, other than the fact that we're way the heck up here and potentially putting in some sort of a tweezer rejection, wow, we got as high as 17.7, unbelievable. It's hard to say that this is over yet. This run is over yet. And the reason for that is we want to see top volume, just as we had seen top volume in the past. And I had specified this on Twitter a couple times. We know what tops and bottoms look like from a volume perspective. And from a volume perspective, we're still waiting for a massive cluster of volume spikes somewhere in this area here, potentially, that we're just really not seeing yet. And because of that, it's kind of hard to equate that we're in a topping pattern or that we basically had our blown off top yet. Look at some of these wicks we had here on volume wicks here back in 2017. Look at our bottom wicks here of 2018, our top wicks here of 2019, our bottoming wicks here of 2020. And we're still looking for something that at least gets us above these previous areas of wick history here. And basically, we're nowhere really close to that yet. And that's important because we want to, look for that kind of signs that we've had this blow off top exhaustion. And so far, we're not seeing that kind of volume just yet. Guys, this is Big Chonis. I'm coming to you live talking about Bitcoin above 17K. Got 42 of my closest friends here watching me now. Please hit that thumbs up button. It does help if you're enjoying my content here. Also remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And of course, you guys can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Big Chonis. Look at that, approaching 50,000. Unbelievable. I'm truly blessed. Here is that chart I was talking about how do you know when the bottom is in? How do you know when the tops are in? As you can see here, we're still waiting for it. Now, I did this chart a couple days ago when Bitcoin was $1,000 lower. Okay, and that's kind of what I'm watching for. Or we kind of get some sort of a volume that shows that blow off top, I've also been doing some quick scalps here on the BingBon exchange, and I had a couple nice flips in fill last night, but as you can see, everything is in the green here. And what I was talking about in last show is you kind of see where's the divergence, which coins have been really pumping hard and which haven't, and then you kind of see what the laggers are, and potentially those can be, good entries there. What we have across the board here is green across the board in the crypto space, and it's hard to say what's going to happen with these altcoins if Bitcoin does now decide to take a little breather here and consolidate. Now, historically speaking here, we have seen alts definitely pump while Bitcoin is ranging in a very, bullish stance, okay? Are we going to see something similar here? Are we going to see money flowing into altcoins? And even though we've basically been watching altcoin money come in, for sure, ETH is, 480 was earlier today. Litecoin, it's highs in over a year here at above 70. A lot of our other coins haven't really taken off yet, except for, some definitely nice moves over the past couple days. Ripple, has definitely been one of those coins that have had that nice move bullishly over the past several days here. But nothing too crazy. And by crazy, I mean, I remember back in 2018, the beginning of it, when Bitcoin did have its blow off top, and how money was beginning to start to flow into altcoins, and that was able to get exponentially larger as the beginning of 2018 went on. We had a massive alt season in basically early January that lasted long enough, for sure, long enough. So here we are now with Bitcoin, very bullish. Still haven't seen anything major rejective here on the daily chart. Again, we got half the day left here. So we got 6 hours left in the day. Let's check out the 6-hour chart, because we're putting in our second to last 6-hour candle of the day. Little wick here, but nothing crazy. So back to the daily here. Let's keep a quantitative look on where we are in terms of some of our indicators and oscillators. So let's pull up here our Bollinger Bands, and as you can see, we've been riding up our upper BBs here for weeks. Okay, we have a nice spread here in our Bollingers. Okay, no tightening has ever really taken place recently. Haven't even tested the middle of BB, which is all the way down to 15.2 since early October here. So we're still riding up that guy. Let's look at the spread between our EMA 12 and 26. And the reason I like to do this is because, again, we see our spread is very stable and wide and similar width to where we've seen previous big bullish moves here and biggest moves here as well. So we're still seeing that breadth, the bullish breadth hold, while our EMAs continue to expand. And listen, until we lose our EMA 12 support, which right now is at 16K, look at that. It's just been holding support, holding support, holding support all the way up. Every time it's been tested, it's held, and Bitcoin has bounced. And a significant, nice little volume cluster here as well. So still very bullish, no signs of consolidation or that rollover. We are still well above the 50, the 100, the 200, and now, of course, on the dailies here, they are in the proper sequence. Okay, they're in the proper sequence that we look for. When we are in this situation here, when we want to see the proper, ribbons, if you will, of bullishness, where our 50s over 100, 50s over 200, and that's basically what we're watching right now. Now, what is going to determine, okay, when we have some sort of a corrective move here is really going to be when we start to roll over in terms of our our MAs on lower time frames. And so far, we haven't seen any of that. We were starting to see a little wiggle here, get them on the 1 hour, and then that just kind of, fell through there. And now we're back to the proper 50 over 100 over 200 sequence. Same with our 4 hour here. Okay, even stronger. And as you can note, the 4 hour MA50 has been excellent support once again all the way up here. So until these areas are lost, the uptrend can continue, and we can use these to quantify on starting in lower time frames and moving up to higher time frames when we're going to see that change and that bearish divergence in the price action here. Right now, we're not seeing any of that. Let's see how overextended we are from an RSI standpoint. This is our 4 hour RSI. Now, yes, from a divergence standpoint, we do keep making these lower highs in our RSI while we keep hitting these higher highs in the Bitcoin price action, finding some historic resistance right there on the 4 hour. 6 hour here, as you can see, we actually broke through that and still under 80 there. 12 hour, okay, same deal. And the daily. And listen, the daily is a very strong 79 here, and we're still doing this little flag consolidation here, you could argue, on our daily RSI. So no warning signs yet. If we were above 80, like we were here, here, and here, and remember our bull market of 2019 and of course our bull market of 2017, we would rip up to as high as 90 in a daily RSI standpoint, sometimes even a little higher here, right? This was, I think this was our nut top here at 94. And so you see, that's running room. We still have that bullish running room. So we're not anywhere in it from an extreme standpoint on the daily. Now, the 3-day paints a slightly different picture. We are, way up here on our 3-day, way above 80, 88 on the 3-day. And we can see that 90, 89, 90, 91, 90, 91, 88, 88. So we're getting very close, if not already here, from a 3-day standpoint, where we do hit that major RSI resistance, on that 3-day. And that's, notable and significant because on the higher time frames, Bitcoin can stay irrationally bullish for a heck of a lot longer. And these become important, things there to keep an eye on. So even though our 3-day is approaching this area here, that gives us still room of, quite a bit, to play around with. But once again, we are here. And also note the ferocity of these moves here in 2017, RSI straight up, straight up, straight up, straight up, straight up, straight up. And once again, we just have this thing that's going straight up. And lastly, look at the weekly here. And, highest weekly RSI since December of 2017. Okay, but as you can see, that weekly, which was our top back in 2017, did hit 90, and we're at 82 here. So this shows us we have potential historic movement running room on the upside if we're going to do really that blow off top, right? Last thing I want to look at here is just I want to see what this monthly candle looks like. Only halfway through this month here, and this is just a ridiculous monthly candle. Just unbelievable where we are now. And as you can see, we're just touching the wicks here of our December and January candles here, of our previous all-time highs there. So just a stupendous move here, and we are also outside of our upper Bollinger with force here on an extremely wide Bollinger spread. Okay, now we were obviously outside the Bollingers on the monthly numerous times here on the way up, but with this spread here, we're only quantifying maybe this one or maybe our blow off top candle here, and we know what kind of wick that gave us when it actually closed out that month. So we are once again at the extremes above our upper Bollinger on our monthly chart. And we got 13 days left in the month, so this is a very important candle here. We know what a substantial upper wick can look like, and we know what the back test of that did prove out as well. So are we setting us up, as we are super bullish in the first 2 weeks of the month, to get some sort of a nasty rejection? Any little wick is kind of irrelevant, right? But we know what the wicks up here were representing month after month when we were unable to break above here on the 14K Bitcoin pump. Now we're over here, way above it, but we were also way above it here in early December of 2017, before our big pullback actually took place here. So once again, tremendous price action, but obviously still early in the month. What's up, Dragon? What's up, Bit Chimichu? What's up, Mahood Rafiq? What's up, Sam NG? Thanks, I really appreciate that, Sam. Really appreciate that. 64 of my closest friends watching here. Let's get 64 thumbs up. How about that? What's up, Smaller CY? Appreciate you hanging out with me today here. What else to look at here? If you guys are interested in doing some trading, leverage trading, I definitely recommend using BingBon exchange. I've been using it for several months. You can see my affiliate link in the notes here, and it's a very stable platform. I've had some decent success on it, figuring out my overall trading style here. They are constantly adding new pairings. I believe Phil was the last one they added. Uni and Dot are pretty new as well, and there'll be some more coming online in the future. If you've never really heard of them, they're very big in Asia. They have quite a large trading community, and I'm helping them, build that up here in the States, because that's something that is not just fun to basically trade here, but can be extremely profitable as well if you know what you're doing. And in future shows, I definitely want to talk more about some of the scalping and stuff as well, that I've been doing kind of on lower time frames and kind of seeing what what sort of tactics and things I like to use in that overall context here. So back to our hourly chart here. Okay, we can see our little dip here has been bought up once again. Again, we're still early in this hourly candle here, halfway to go. Let's check out if we're getting any TD9s here on some of our time frames here. Yeah, we printed a 9 2 candles ago. Not very effective. I'm going to close out these MAs here too. I guess I got to bring my better computer into this next time, because you are slow. Here was our 9, and then we're basically blasting through that. So there's nothing really on the 4 hour that's suggesting a 9 top there. Let's go to our 6 hour here. We were on a 7 on the 6 hour. Notice this 9 here was actually a great top back here at 16.5. And, there's the rip once again. Let's take a look at our 12 hour here. And we're only on a 4 on our 12 hour. And lastly, we'll take a look at our daily candle here. And see where we're at there. We're on a 7 as well. So definitely suggesting a couple more days or so, potentially of this price action here, because we're so far above our 6 and our 5. Even if we come way down here, we're still kind of put in that 8 and the 9 candle, just because of where we are on the overall TD sequence. Last thing I wanted to kind of talk about, not my last thing, but one thing to talk about. I'm a big fan of Ichimoku. I've been following the weekly Ichimoku chart. Listen, I definitely did not see this coming. We had our initial break here of our cloud, came back into it, blasted above it here, and now we are just full bullish here. And listen, it's very similar to this here. It really is very similar to our previous blow off parabolic move here, when we significantly advanced above the cloud and significantly advanced above our Tenkan Sen and Kaijin Sen indicators here. In this move here. So we are so above from a technical standpoint, any significant, EMAs, MAs, Bollinger Bands, Ichimoku Cloud supports. So even though we've advanced significantly in this price action here, you have to ask yourself, where is the real meaningful supports? We know when the top was in here, we came back very quickly, and we were able to kind of chug around this area, finally finding support in this kind of volume of between 6K and 9K. But realistically speaking, where is the big, support resistance flip? And it's at 14K. I mean, this was our previous resistance, and it's important because just as 10K was the same thing, there's the back test and advance. We have our 12K. There's the breakout with no back test, right? And then the 14K was just minimal resistance at that time. So not sure how far we go here. Really from now on, the only major resistance here, honestly, is 20K. I mean, there's a couple wicks around 18.6, 18.5, but this is quite impressive here, to say the least. And listen, I have to ask this question too: is like, who's really getting rich off this move here? I've been in this space for 4 years. I've been doing pretty well, but let's face it here. Most of the most of the people that are doing quite well in this are, I hate to say it, rich, well-off people that were either able to buy significantly this dip here or hold into the crash. And that has to go with stocks as well. Who's making out like bandits over this COVID, 8 month period we've had? It's the haves, and the have-nots are in lines trying to get COVID tests while the haves are in their summer homes buying new cars and just living good stuff. And we think about all the corporates and all the big monies that came into this space here, and let's say they came in at 10K, and they're up obviously 70% here. Plus, when do they decide that enough money has been made, windfall money has been made, and now it's time for them to take some money off the table? It's a very interesting thing, because what we have here now is kind of that battle for the rich saying, all right, well, I made 70% on my money here, or even more if they were buying below 10K. It wouldn't be prudent of me to not take some off the table here. And any downward sell pressure we potentially see, is that just going to be another buy the dip opportunity? If you've been in the space long enough, we've always talked about the pullbacks of 2017 here. We had several of them that were as much as 40% pullbacks, 40% pullbacks. And if you're a hodler, that's hard to hold in a 40% pullback, because right now, if we were to top here and have a 40% pullback, that is basically 10,500. So could you imagine if we went to 10,500 and then was able to rip within a matter of weeks just back up to 17K like it was nothing? Basically, we'd have to do something like this, and then whoop, come right back, and then rip again. Okay, so that's a scenario that is constructive and does correlate with previous major pullbacks in Bitcoin price action. So you think right now, oh my God, Bitcoin's at 17.7. How could it possibly fall, all the way to 10K? In a very short amount of time? Well, we have history that shows that can do exactly that. Now, these aren't the same. It's a different time. I do understand that. It's a different hype cycle. Back in this point here, I remember CNBC had people on talking about Bitcoin 100K at that time. And that was, potentially the last little push that brought Bitcoin to the doorstep of 20K. Now are we going to see something similar in this overall context, where do you really think people are going to start piling in on the break of 20K? I mean, we're in a situation here where unless you have investable money, unless you have like real investable money, that crowd FOMO, that masses, the populace, the people FOMOing into Bitcoin above 20K, in my opinion, it's going to be significantly harder to see that happening in this context now, just because of where we are. Also, there's the kind of shell shock of what happened last time as we did approach 20K. We hit 20K, and for 3 years we were below it. So this cycle is taking faster than the previous one. And yes, in my opinion, there are several things that are extremely suspect about all of this. But suspect is irrelevant. It's all about the price action right now. And even if it's suspect, even if it's not organic, even if it's tether printing, just like the Fed is printing, even if that's the case, then does it really matter if the price is where it is right here? Think about all those scam tokens, all the exchanges that went out of business or had issues or got hacked, all the false starts, all the not approved ETFs, and what have you. All that Bitcoin was confronting over the past few years, and here we are once again knocking on the doorstep of 20K. Someone brought this up to my attention, and it's kind of an interesting thing when you think about it. Is Bitcoin's inception was 2009. Let's call it. And if we think about 2009 and think about where the NASDAQ was in 2009, it was right here at 1,300, kind of right when Bitcoin's inception, started here. And the NASDAQ has been on a parabolic tear, ever since. So Bitcoin has been living in a NASDAQ environment, we'll call it, where a parabolic NASDAQ has basically, I don't even know how I would draw this, but more or less see what I'm talking about here. NASDAQ has just been going straight up, and straight up ever since the inception of Bitcoin. So NASDAQ has really not been in an extended bear market. We had this consolidation here for sure. But overall, it's been going straight up. Now, and so is Bitcoin. So if you think about, Bitcoin has only lived in an environment where the NASDAQ has been doing pretty much the exact same thing, going straight up. Now, there's the NASDAQ up 500% over that time period. And here's Bitcoin up over 220,000% over that time period. So even though the chart correlation is such, the percentage correlation, Bitcoin blows them out of the water by a factor of tens of thousands. Okay, but my point is that Bitcoin has been alive in a environment where the NASDAQ has basically just kept going up, and every notable dip in the NASDAQ has been a buying opportunity, if you will, for Bitcoin price action. So we have the Dow closing in on 30K, we have the NASDAQ closing in on 12K, back to its all-time highs there. Everything's bullish across the board. So obviously, Bitcoin is just part of that correlation. Obviously, it's had a significant, from a percentage standpoint, much stronger run and flow, overall. So, guys, I wanted to come to you guys for a live show here. We've been talking for about a half hour. That's pretty good. Maybe I'll come back on a little later this evening, kind of see where the dust plays out here. I have taken a couple stabs at shorting over today with very tight stop losses, and I got stopped out every time here. So I'm really not sure what to look for here, other than the fact that I'm not going to, at this point, I'm kind of sit on my hands and see what we have happening here. Even if we do put in some sort of a topping pattern, I think it's going to take a while to play out. I don't think we're going to get just one giant wick up and then come way back and then leave a big wick of a gap, if you will. I think we're going to basically be battling until we do see some exhaustion. And overall, as long as the stock market, the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Dow continue to make higher highs and continue to advance higher, it's hard to see them not taking Bitcoin along with it. What would be very curious to see is if we actually do see some major consolidation in the overall stock market, and how Bitcoin may potentially respond to that, and see if we're going to see a divergence in that correlation where Bitcoin could actually hold up a lot better, right, than the overall stock markets may, if we get some sort of a pullback in that situation there. So 68 of my closest friends watching, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button if you're enjoying my content here. It's good to be back doing these shows again. It had been some time. Apparently, I don't know, I thought I'd be a little rusty in doing these, but it's like old hat. It just seems to come back to me and I start to ramble, but I don't want to ramble on too much here. Try to want to keep it to about a half hour or so. So I appreciate your support. Remember to follow me on Twitter. I am at Big Chonis. If you guys are interested in doing some crypto leverage trading, here is my invite code on my Twitter, also on the YouTube exchange. And in future shows, I'll definitely be talking more about the BingBon exchange, how I use it, how I look for trade opportunities. And listen, I know on Twitter we sometimes see people taking $500,000 trades, $500,000 Bitcoin trades, $500,000 Bitcoin trades. You don't have to match that. You don't have to be baller like that. You can do a lot with very little. I basically try and keep no more than like half a Bitcoin or so in exchange, and you can do a lot with that. And now half a Bitcoin is about, almost $9,000. So with $9,000 and leverage, obviously up to 100x, but I wouldn't recommend using that. You can take some decent positions that will actually make some decent gains if you're able to catch the right side of a good play. But we can definitely discuss those on some future shows here. So Bitcoin 17.7 and not showing any signs here of weakening. Here is our volume, very strong. From a lower time frame, I'll just start to keep an eye here on some of our RSIs. The 15-minute, the 5-minute. Wow, 17.77777. We're still not that crazy overbought on the 15 here, and we're still not that crazy, on the 5-minute. I bet you we're over 80 on the RSI on the 5-minute here. Nope. Come back down there. So every time we seem to get a little too ahead of ourselves, there's a slow pullback, and then right again we keep on going. So guys, trade safe out there. Don't try and catch the nut top, because Bitcoin is just, every time there's a nice topping pattern here, Bitcoin just says F you and keeps blasting through. And be safe. Don't blow out your account on one big move. This is extraordinary time here for sure. If you've been long and strong in this market, congratulations, because you're probably doing a little better than I am recently. But this is the market. This is what we are, and this is BingBon, and this is Bitcoin, and this is why we do it. And now 17.8. Oh my God, we just keep on pumping here. And wow, I woke up this morning, it was 17K, and then we're just a few $100 away from 18K. So very amazing. But if this is the blow off top, this is kind of the that kind of look where we just see a straight up parabolic move here, and it appears that's exactly what we're doing right here. There'll be a point where there's just no more up, because it's literally just completely vertical. At this point here, our dips are becoming smaller and our rips are becoming larger, and other than a little resistance in the 18Ks, who's to say how far we can take this here. So with that, it's Big Chonis here. Thank you for watching. We'll stay in tune. We'll stay safe. We'll talk soon.